Chapter 3: Learning with a Difference. We will learn care for differently abled people. Learning with a difference. Some of the people among us are not so lucky as we are. There are many people in the world who are either blind, visually challenged, dumb, deaf, or physically challenged. People who are unable to use one or more of their senses are called differently abled. When one of the senses gets damaged, other senses become sharper to make up for it. A person who is blind cannot see, but his or her other senses become so strong that he or she can easily recognize things. People by smelling or by touching and feeling. Blind or visually challenged people use Braille script to read and write. People who are deaf and dumb use sign language to communicate. Care for differently abled people. We should be kind and always take initiative to help people who are differently abled. Our government has provided certain facilities for such people as special schools and colleges have been set up across the country for such children. Computers with speakers for visually challenged students have been set up. Ramps are made at railway stations, hospitals, metro stations, and shopping malls for people who use wheelchairs. News for deaf people is telecasted by the national channel in sign language to make them understand. Fact File: Helen Keller was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the USA. Learning with a Difference. Helen Keller was a popular teacher and a famous author. She became deaf and blind when she was only 19 months old. When Helen Keller was 6 years old, her parents learned about the Perkins Institution for the Blind in Boston. They asked for a teacher to come and help Helen. The school sent a 20-year-old girl, Annie Sullivan, who was barely sighted herself. In 1 month, she taught Helen what a word is and that everything has a name. Helen was a brilliant student. Annie taught her patiently to tap letters of the alphabet into her palm. Annie also taught Helen to touch the speaker's lips and understand what is being said. At 20, Helen entered Redcliffe College. Annie tapped the lectures into her hand. Helen learned Braille and used the special typewriter. In 1904, Helen graduated with honors. She traveled around the globe lecturing and raising funds for the differently abled people. Stephen Hawking suffered from nervous disorder. He was unable to speak and move. Today he is considered as the greatest scientist. He worked using a wheelchair equipped with a computer. So we should remember that where there is a will, there is a way. Keyword: physically challenged, person with disability to move. Visually challenged, person with low vision. Differently abled, people who are unable to use one or more of their senses. Points to recall: people who are unable to use one or more of their senses are called differently abled. When one of the senses gets damaged, other senses become sharper to make up for it. We all should be kind towards differently abled people.